We were talking for like a whole minute last time before this broke in live.
Oh, I
So
know.
I'm a little tentative about going into.
It ended. You know how someone was like, "Oh, you're not live yet," or what?
Yeah,
We were
we just
before
went
live,
live after like a minute and 15 seconds.
but
Yeah.
no, we were live the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now I did it long enough to get somebody talking and saying, "Hey, we heard you loud and clear." So, hey everybody, welcome back to the 6th round post-fight show with me, your host, Zane Simon, and my co-host, as always, Eddie Mercado, coming to y'all from the end of UFC 298 in Anaheim, California, and the feel bad for old guys night of 2024 so far. We've
Yeah.
had a lot of big rooting moments last week. We got Jack Hermanson going out there and doing it for the old dudes. But there was a vibe. There was a vibe in the air going into this. I picked Volk, and I was still just like, man, there is a vibe that Ilya Topuria just seems like he is the right man in the right place at the right time to take this belt.
I didn't want it to be true. I felt it
Mm-mm.
was true.
I didn't want it to be true either.
I just didn't want it to be fucking true. And I picked
No.
him too.
Yeah,
For exactly why he won the first round.
sure. I will say right now, I'll be the idiot. I thought Topuria might have taken the first round for the low kick damage that was enough to make Volkanovski have to switch stances. But
Whoa, 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 whoa. Volkanovski always switches stance.
yeah, but he was hiding that lead leg.
Mm,
He was
he
definitely
was
hiding
being
it.
smart.
He was being
He was
smart.
addressing it. He was
But
addressing
yeah,
it.
he was addressing it. So my feeling was it was the more telling damage because Volk had to address it. Topuria didn't really fight like he had to address anything Volkanovski was doing. But I'll all three judges scored it for Volk. I easily thought that there was a very good argument that Volk should have won it. I was just being weird. We'll just leave it at that.
Either way, man, Volk got slept.
He got slept. I thought he was fighting really smart. I thought it was a really good idea to stay on the kicks and to try and stop Topuria's pressure with the kicking game. I thought it was especially a good idea to focus on the high kicks that would force that right hand to stay at home. You know, that felt like a really good idea. But the thing was, and this became more apparent in round two, and it was really what started getting me worried, was that Volkanovski was not doing anything offensively that was forcing Topuria out of the pace and the pressure that he wanted to have. Topuria was getting to fight his way, even if Volkanovski was putting a lot out there in front of him to deal with. It was a fight that Topuria was not getting uncomfortable with at all. And for a young, powerful, confident fighter like that, getting to have their fight, it's a little, it wasn't nearly the same. It wasn't nearly the same level of like age or clowning or anything like that, but it's a little bit of the Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman one vibe where, Anderson Silva didn't do awful in the first round of that fight. He landed some okay shots and stuff, but he didn't do anything that dissuaded Chris Weidman from just walking him down and trying to hit him as hard as he could.
Yeah, I mean, I think Volk started to land his leg kicks. When he started to attack
Yeah,
the calf himself, he was finding success.
sure. He found success. It's not,
No, his volume did seem a little hollow. Although I
yeah.
don't know though, I don't know because that jab was starting to bust open the nose of Topuria. That
He,
jab was landing.
it was good stuff. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying that it wasn't like Volk versus Holloway in their third fight or Volk against Ortega in their fight where he was creating a pace that his opponent could not deal with. Topuria seemed like he was coping at all times.
Yeah, well, you gotta respect the power, right?
Yeah, no, I mean Topuria is just he's good. He's good, and
He's the best at this moment.
yeah, I mean I'm writing right now. While I was actually glad you took a minute because I'm writing up my editorial right now. Which little teaser for anybody tuning in is just all about how difficult it is to go from the champ that beats the old guard and the current guard, or the current contenders, to then beating the next wave, the new breed. Almost nobody does it, you know? Like DJ beat Horiguchi and Cejudo the first time they came up. You got GSB picking off Johnny Hendricks. You have John Jones with his Anthony Smith, Reyes, Thiago Santos run late in his career. But they're like the only dudes out there. Pretty much everybody else. Anderson Silva, he was wiping up all the Chael Sonens and Yushin Okamis that you want. But when it came to Chris Weidman, Jose Aldo beating the Ricardo Lamases, the Chan Sung Jungs, all the guys that were the contenders of his day. Max Holloway comes along. That's the end of the Jose Aldo era.
Well, Conor McGregor did that, right?
Conor McGregor too. Conor McGregor and Max Holloway both were the new breed. Sure. And it is so damned impossible to be the champ that beats the guy who has had your picture on his heavy bag from the day he stepped into the UFC. Like Volkanovski won the belt a year before Topuria ever made his UFC debut.
Yeah, I mean, that was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah. Volk won his title in 2019.
Yeah.
So every year that Topuria has been the champ in his, or every year that Volkanovski has been the champ, Topuria has been looking at him being like, I am figuring out how to beat this dude. And that's a hard task to meet that guy and win.
You want to hear a hard truth?
Sure.
Volkanovski's 1-3 in his last 4 fights.
Yeah.
What? You go from being the pound for pound best, arguably top 2, top 3, to being 1-3 in your last 4, 2 of them being vicious knockouts. Fuck, that's weird, right?
Yeah. Will say, note here, Amanda Nunes did it too. It is true. Nunes did do it in women's bantamweight. She's really the only woman to do it. And you could, there's an argument for Shevchenko as well. But of course, the unfortunate thing for fighters like Shevchenko and even Demetrius Johnson is they didn't really have a previous generation to beat.
But to your point, that's exactly why we will never see John Jones versus Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
You will never see that, ever.
It is exactly the kind of fight that Jones is not interested. He wants to do he wants the Stipe ride out into the sunset. And
he would do Brock Lesnar.
Sure, yeah, he would do Brock Lesnar.
That's about it.
But, yeah, it's just... that was the thing too that I was looking at here, and it is hard to shake that vibe where it's just like, man, if Volkanovski can beat Ilia Topuria, like that is actually a huge mountain to climb. It doesn't feel like Topuria is like a way better fighter suddenly than Max Holloway or something like that, but it is a dude that has been watching Alexander Volkanovski his whole career and being like, I want to try to beat this dude.
And it's the perfect time.
Yeah.
Perfect time. Like coming off that loss to Islam.
It is there's the timing. There's all there's that X factor. and Volk came back really quick, and you just, it felt like there was something in the air that wasn't great for it. But it's also just a huge hurdle that most fighters don't, even great fighters, tend not to clear.
Yeah, it just sucks to see it.
It does.
I'm happy for Topuria, and it was a knockout, wicked knockout.
He's going to be a hell of a lot of fun as champ. I mean, featherweight has just had an insane run of elite champions. Like, we went from Jose Aldo to Max Holloway to,
You might as well say his name because Topuria called him out.
I know that. Conor McGregor can barely make middleweight right now. Conor McGregor is like, he is going to be calling out Michael Chandler at 205 pounds in the next 2 months.
What a waste of time that is. I
can't
called out Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but to go from Aldo to Holloway to Volanovski and now to Topuria, like, I'm thrilled to see what he can bring to the table, because that's, it's just an awesome run of champions for that division. I love bantamweight and all that, but featherweight champs that division is getting all the best champs,
Oh, for sure. Do they run it back right away?
I hope not.
That's fucked. That is fucked, Zane. That's fucked. You're telling me the guy who's been actively defending his featherweight belt goes up and tries to take the lightweight belt, makes it debatably close. Hold on. Makes it debatably close, okay? Then goes and defends his belt again at 45, and then saves a show by taking a fight with Islam on short notice in Abu Dhabi, wasn't it?
It was in Abu Dhabi.
Like, come on, man.
Eddie, what was the oh my God, can you believe it stat that you just read to me 5 minutes ago? What was it?
I know, but here's the thing.
What was it? You didn't even say it. What was it?
But if you only look at divisionally speaking,
it's his first loss.
You can't count those lightweight.
Oh, suddenly, Mr. Numbers game over here.
The numbers are the numbers, but if we're talking about the division, right? Divisionally speaking, unless
I'm just like, we were just talking to, he's just coming off 2 back-to-back knockouts. Like, you know what? If he wants to wait 6 months, and I know that's the other thing that drives me a little nuts here too, is Volanovski and his whole, like, I can't slow down without feeling like the rails are going off of my life thing. But, like, if he wants to wait 8 months and somebody else can challenge for the title, and then he can go get a rematch himself, like, without having to even take another fight, okay. But I do not want to see Volanovski back out there in, like, 4 months' time fighting Ilia Topuria again.
Concerned for his health. Look at you. It happened. It's old man Volk. It happened.
I hate to see the old guys taking the L's, and
I don't think he's old though. I think Topuria is just that dude.
But I'm just saying, like, I hate to see. I'm not saying like he's old. I'm just saying I hate to see the guys that are,
No, I feel weird. I
don't want to see the more millennials getting beat up by these goddamn Zoomers, okay? I don't want to see it.
I want to see. It's like, I feel like Volanovski has earned the right to get that immediate rematch. Like, he's earned that right. He's earned it. But I also don't want to see him get slept again for the 3rd time in a row, and he starts going down a Tony Ferguson path. I don't want that to happen either.
No,
because I
think you got to find Volanovski another fight, and it's a top contenders bout, and he wins it, and he gets a title shot again.
Well, next week you got the Yair rematch with Ortega.
Sure, yeah,
and that's probably the number one contender. And then Evloev's out there too.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
no one gives a fuck about that.
No.
No.
Hey, you know what you do? How about this? You do Volkanovski, Arnold Allen, because everybody feels bad for Arnold Allen that he got passed over from his big moment that he was supposed to be the next contender when he couldn't get by Holloway and then couldn't get by Evloev. And if that had been a 5-round fight, then,
Sure.
something like that. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, find a fight that somebody else is going to feel like is a really big moment for them. It's a moment for Volkanovski to get his groove back, and then we go and replay the rematch. And in the meantime, the only problem there is, I guess, like,
and he gave all those chances to Max Holloway.
I know.
To get his belt back, you heartless bastard, Zane.
That is the other problem. Is too, you got to ask yourself, well, then who the hell does Ilya Topuria fight? Like people are like, oh, Max Holloway, he gets another chance. That's like, he's booked. He's booked to fight Justin Gaethje in a fight that most people do not think Max Holloway is about to win.
I don't want to see. I mean, I want to see it, but it makes me. It reminds me of what happened when Max fought Dustin the second time.
Yeah.
Ugh, that was gross.
Yeah.
That was gross.
Otherwise, we've got Yair versus Ortega, which I guess
I would rather see Max Holloway versus Ilya Topuria.
Yeah, then the winner of Yair versus Ortega.
And instead of Gaethje, Holloway also.
Sure. And then otherwise, I mean, the reason, I would be a little weird about seeing like Evloev Volkanovski is I do feel like Evloev is the best new contender on the rise. That
nobody wants to get the fuck out of here.
Dana White hates him. Dana White hates him. Yeah, I know.
I don't hate him at all. I'm apathetic to him. He's just of all the exciting people we have there.
But who is the problem is that nobody else is really rising in that division. After that, you've got Arnold Allen coming off 2 losses, Josh Emmett coming off a win, but he's already been beat thoroughly by Ilya Topuria.
Well, that's why you have the Ortega and Yair. That has to be. Has to be.
I'm just saying, I'm talking like rising talents in this division that are set to be a new contender. There aren't any right now.
I wonder if he would actually fight Giga Chikadze.
Yeah, I knew you were going to pull Giga Chikadze out there. You homer.
Some Georgia on Georgia action.
Yeah. I mean, if Giga can get himself back in the cage and win 1 or 2 more fights, sure. But anyway, that is a problem that we have here versus Ortega, so maybe they'll fight Topuria, even though he is adamant that he will fight neither of them. And he says he won't fight Yair, Ortega, or Holloway, and they are all 3 of them the clear right contender right now.
I am also fine if Topuria wants to go right on up to 55 and pull a Connor and challenge Makhachev for the 155 strap.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. I would love to see that also.
That would be pretty fun.
That'd be so there. He wins the belt and then just vacates, goes off.
We have also heard Sean O'Malley, as somebody else mentioned here, Sean O'Malley wants to fight Ilya Topuria as well.
Ooh, I love that also.
Of course, Sean O'Malley not only has a title fight booked, but they've now promised Merab Dvalishvili very publicly that he will be fighting for the title next. But you never know. UFC, they need the big events.
I wouldn't be surprised if Merab's fighting for a vacant title.
Yeah. You think
I'm like, you know what? All right, 35. Fuck this weight cut. I'm going to 45.
He is a tall dude for bantamweight. He is.
Yeah, go throw hands.
5'11". In fact, does he have the same? Does Max Holloway have? Max Holloway is the same height with a 3-inch shorter reach than Sean O'Malley. So, yeah. Sean O'Malley, Max Holloway would be an awesome fight to see someday.
I feel like by the time we get it, it would be too late on Mac.
Yeah, I know. All right. Let's move on. Talk about this co-main event. Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. Not only did the judges get it right, which I'm happy about,
Yep.
but they even got it right in that 2 out of 3 judges awarded Paulo Costa the first round, which I am very happy to see.
I could have gone. I gave the first round to Costa, but it
Yeah, I
could
did
have
too.
easily gone the Rob won every second of that round up until that wheel kick at the very end.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Even then, he gets wheel kicked. He does a little stumble, and what does he do? He starts fucking bobbing and weaving and throwing back. I'm like, I've never seen somebody recover that quickly, especially from a Paulo Costa blow. Like,
yeah. It was a great performance from Whittaker, but it's also like that to me is the perfect way that damage wins the round should be considered. Is that Whittaker he won 90% of that round, but Costa was competitive in it. It wasn't like he was getting blown out. He was just losing most of the round. And then Whittaker got hurt really bad. And
for a second,
but he still got hurt really bad.
Yeah.
And I always it sounds stupid, but I think that MMA you should be trying to judge MMA. Our goal as fans should be to get things judged as close to a street fight as possible. Like, I know that sounds dumb, but it's just like, if this is 5 minutes and you're looking at this as a fight and you're just like, oh, who got their ass beat in this fight for 5 minutes, over 5 minutes, you're gonna have to give to the guy that almost knocked the other dude out. Like,
100%.
You know?
100%. I will take that accumulation every day of the week versus like doing a stanky leg. Like, I don't ever want that to happen to me. I would rather get cut. I would rather have my eyes swollen, busted nose. I would take all of that, any kind of flesh wound, over any kind of shift in equilibrium that visibly alters my being. Like, even that.
That's the idea, is that you want
round winning behavior there.
Exactly. So I'm glad to see 2 out of 3 judges gave it to Costa. And then Whittaker, the rest of the fight, they had a very similar kind of fight where Costa was in it. He wasn't just getting blown out of the water, but Robert Whittaker is just cleaner and better. And when he's not getting hurt, he's winning this fight.
And he had more steam later in the rounds.
Yeah.
Costa petered out at the end of the rounds. And that allowed Whittaker to step on the gas a little bit, just enough. And I think Whittaker was more crafty, more true to sneaking in those calf kicks.
Mm-hmm.
They were both throwing beautiful leg kicks, both effective, both welting up the other guy. But Whittaker was just far more effective with it.
Whittaker hides his strikes. That's the big thing, is that when Costa got kicked in the leg and when he got punched in the face, it was something he didn't see coming. He could hit Whittaker.
He was checking some of them.
And even when he was landing, they could hit and hurt Whittaker, but they were always shots he saw. Yeah. So he wasn't it didn't look like he was getting hurt as bad most of the time. Whereas when Costa would get a shot would land clean on him, it would like snap his head back, or it would, he'd have to shake his leg out. And it's just, Whittaker, the man, when he is in rhythm, those counter combos he was landing, it is just so goddamn slick.
And Dominic Cruz had to have scored it for Paulo Costa, right?
Oh yeah. Because Whittaker's nose was bleeding. He jabbed him in the eye with the thumb, caused his eye to swell up. I mean, that's damage. That's how it works.
And that goes through all the rounds.
It does, yeah. You you get damaged in round 1, it's still there in round 3. That's round 3 damage too.
Yep.
That's how it works. The champion says it must be true.
This was a fantastic fight.
It was. Great fight.
And I'm so glad both guys showed up. Well, Whittaker always shows up, but Costa can be a question mark at times.
Yes. Costa looked absolutely rock solid and confident that he could hurt Robert Whittaker in round 3. He didn't, he still faded towards the end of the round. He still, there's still problems in there, but he did not at one point go away and stop throwing with power and determination.
No, he did. So back in December, I was in Vegas, and I spent some time with Coach Eric, right,
Mhm.
captain. We were just hung out after the fights, and we were talking about Costa and what was next for him, and he was like, "Man, he really wants to fight Robert Whittaker, but I don't want him to." I'm like, "Why? Of everyone you can fight, you want to fight the one guy that has like phenomenal striking?" Like,
Yeah.
he really didn't want him fighting him, but Paulo was insistent. Like, that's what Costa wanted. That's the
Yeah.
fight he wanted. He got what he wanted.
I will say credit to Costa too. He came in with low kicks, and he came in with a jab that was way cleaner than I've seen in any of his fights before. Like, he was a much cleaner, more technical fighter. But Whittaker, like I say, he just has a rhythm to him that very few fighters achieve. Where when he is clicking, you would see like Costa would throw a 1-2 at him, and Whittaker would just slip, and he would reach back with a 1-2 that would snap so fast and so fluid that Costa had no idea what was about to happen.
Honestly, that might have been part of his undoing here. Like, Paulo Costa, what the fuck are you doing throwing jabs and fucking calf kicks? Go storm his castle like Dricus du Plessis did.
Yeah.
Fucking knockout.
That is the thing that we say, that I've been saying about Dricus all last month, it feels like, which is just like, man, it is amazing how brave and pig-headed that dude is, that he can take the shots he takes and just keep going after people relentlessly and storming them.
It's a Street Fighter mentality.
Yeah.
He's fighting. That's a fight.
Yeah.
He's not out there competing.
No.
Dude is fighting you. It's primal.
Yep. Great fight. Good win for Whittaker. Lines him up to stay right there in the contender status. He wants Dricus. It's unfortunate that for him, that it seems like Adesanya versus Dricus is very much on the UFC's agenda in the near future.
Yeah, they're talking 300 UFC.
Yeah, well, there's a presser going on right now. They're supposed to be announcing this stuff. We are missing it, so I can see if I can get Twitter pulled up here, see if people are talking about it. But
he can fight Sean Strickland. That fight needs to happen.
And
I can't believe it hasn't. With all them damn matches he's had, Bobby, like, come on, man.
Okay, Dana White has bailed on the UFC 300 fight announcement, so
that's not a good sign.
Yeah, I'm just seeing some tweets that says Dana White says that there's still one more UFC 300 fight to make, but he can't announce it yet.
Is it the headliner?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Oh wait, the main event is Pereira and Hill.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. Alex Pereira, Jamal
Hill. Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm glad they got that fight done. Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who you got? Who you picking?
Oh, I'm picking Pereira. Definitely. No question.
By triangle submission.
Yeah.
And not even like the submission, just like the arm will pop out or something, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Now let's talk about this welterweight fight. Ian Gary, Jeff Neal, and
split decision?
Yeah, I don't like that. This felt like a pretty solid Gary win for me. Did I give Neal a round? I might have.
I almost gave him the first.
Let me see. I think I did, but I never remember these.
First round. The first round was really close.
Yeah.
Neil's his biggest moments of success were either catching some looping punch upon entering the clinch or just some wall install tactics.
I think I gave Neil round 2 actually. I thought Gary looked pretty sharp in round 1, and round 2 was just ugly. And then so I just leaned Neil, and then gave Gary round 3 pretty clearly. But I thought I was much more on the side that all 3 rounds could have gone to Gary than I was that Neil had to get rounds. So
yeah, that was a little odd seeing the split decision there. That knee to punch combo Gary was landing, that was so sneaky.
It really was. It's just too bad that, like, you know, Connor brought it up on Twitter. I saw my partner over on the Vivi. That it was really frustrating to see Neil have these little flashes of brilliant offense and then fall into some really classic bad defensive habits that I had kind of thought he would have broken or had broken. You know, the way he backs up with his hands down and circles out and gets caught on straight lines, doesn't tend to pick angles that quickly and sharply. And Neil made him pay for that a lot in this fight, and really kind of
Gary.
What?
Gary made him pay for it?
No, Neil made Gary pay for the fact that that Gary back
the brilliance.
Yeah, Gary had the flashes of brilliance, and then he would just back up with his hands down, and Neil would swarm after him with hooks and just kind of crack him or clinch him up, and it's just like. Well,
that's what got Volk melted tonight, honestly.
Yeah.
It's exactly what got him dusted.
Exactly. And so for Gary, like, yeah, it's a win. But you had a fighter here. Like, Wonder Boy set a very clear game plan for you, Ian Gary, of sliding around Jeff Neal with small angle adjustments and just countering him over and over for running on straight lines. And Gary kind of did it, mostly, but it wasn't nearly as pretty.
No. He had to earn it.
He had to earn it.
But, I mean, that's kind of just Gary's style, though. He's always kind of out of control. Like, he's trying his best.
Yeah. He made the smart thing. He made the smart move that I called out Colby Covington after.
That was a perfect move.
Yep.
Like, Colby doesn't have any knees anymore.
Yeah. He barely looked like he wanted that last fight.
So it's like you got one guy with all the movement, all the footwork against someone who's immobile. No, that's great. Because honestly, not only stylistically, in terms of like age, miles and striker versus grappler, it's an awesome matchup. But if you ever wanted to get back into the good graces of the public, who do you need to fight? Colby Covington.
Man, it is two dudes with two of the most annoying affects out there. I don't even hate a lot of the stuff Gary has to say, but the way he says it, the way he delivers it, is just so man, you have most annoying Zoomer on TikTok energy all the time.
No, he's a cool dude, man.
I got no problem with so much of actual what he's saying. Him jumping on what's his name,
Neil
Magny was just Neil Magny. That was the dumbest thing Neil Magny ever could have said. He set himself up for that.
Sure,
but the way he did it is just this whole reaction video vibe, and it's just man, come on.
Sure.
Yeah.
He was doing. I think he learned a lesson, though.
I hope so.
I think he learned a big lesson because
the
shoe was on the other foot for a while, and I think that was really tough to kind of overcome. And he pulled out of the fight with Vicente Luque. So I don't know, man. He might kick Colby in the head.
No,
That's
I
the
know.
thing. If he finishes Colby, he will become a fan favorite.
I hope. But yeah, it was just a fine fight for Ian Gary. It was a good stylistic match that he set himself up to win, and he just didn't blow it out of the water.
Yeah, he didn't botch it. He fought pretty smart.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to a bantamweight bout. Merab Dvalishvili, Henry Cejudo. And yeah, this was just, this was an impressive version of the fight that it was set up to be. This is Merab Dvalishvili setting himself up for a fight that he could really take and absolutely taking it over.
Henry showed up.
Henry did show up.
Henry showed up.
He showed up. He won the first round.
Yeah.
He was ready. He was ready to try and take Dvalishvili and stuff him and go, take the fight to him and sting Dvalishvili, rocked him, make Dvalishvili pay for all that output that he puts out there without the power. And that output it's just crushing. Dvalishvili fights at a pace that it makes no damn sense,
Yeah, he's got a serious motor. Best motor in MMA, probably.
Absolutely. I mean, he is doing for wrestling what Max Holloway did for striking,
He puts C-level Kane to shame.
Yeah.
This motor is seriously next level. He's got a diesel. This guy, it's man.
Get
this guy a title shot already.
Yeah, you're talking like Sean O'Malley. He might be fighting for a vacant title.
Yeah.
If I'm the winner of Vera of O'Malley versus Vera, I'm not going to want to fight Merab Dvalishvili.
Nobody should ever want to fight him. I couldn't believe Peter Yan accepted that fight coming off those losses. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure Aljo's moving up. If O'Malley's moving up, who's left? It's going to be him and Sandhagen for the belt.
Yep.
Which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Let's start the Murray
fight. Like I say, if featherweight is the division that always gets the best champs, bantamweight is the division that always gets the best contenders. That division is just like a continual pipeline of elite level top contenders all the time.
The whole division is just contenders, really.
Exactly.
It's a fantastic division.
It is. So, yeah, amazing performance from Dvalishvili, just turning it out, wrestling Cejudo like that over the last 2 rounds. I mean, I know he probably
that lifting. You lifted up Henry Cejudo and put him on your fucking shoulder like a child and paraded him around the octagon while talking to Zuck. What?
Yeah.
That's some alpha shit right there.
I know he probably broke Cejudo's arm in there too, but he broke Cejudo's arm. Like, that's,
What was it?
I believe there was a body kick at one point early in the fight that it went straight across Cejudo's left forearm as he blocked it, and then the whole forearm started to turn purple and swell out. Yeah.
Man, what a great fight.
Yeah, great fight, great performance from Dvalishvili. I hope he gets his title shot. I hope he gets it against O'Malley, but yeah, who knows what's going to happen there. O'Malley has already talked about fighting Topuria, and there aren't actually a lot of really awesome title contender options at featherweight right now, just because that division has a bunch of old guard that everybody's seen fight for the belt before.
We've never seen a fight Topuria for the belt.
No, we've never seen it. It's not terrible. It's not a terrible situation.
I like it.
It's just, I understand why Topuria. I also understand why Topuria is like, I don't want to fight Holloway, Ortega, or Rodriguez. I don't care about these guys. I get it. I don't like it necessarily. I would like to see him fight those guys, but I also get that, like, we have seen them in the title picture in some form for the last 5 years. and it does feel like we could use fresh matchups.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I'm perfectly content with these champions moving up in weight.
Sure. All right. That brings us to a middleweight bout. Anthony Hernandez, Roman Kopylov, and
Man, I was almost right on this. I was
yeah,
so
you
close.
took Kopylov.
I took him by body shot KO.
Oh, nice. He hurt him to the body, definitely.
No, so close. But Fluffy is just—he's a dog, man.
I mean, we're talking about how Dricus du Plessis is not out there like competing. He's out there fighting.
Yeah.
Hernandez is not half the juggernaut du Plessis is, but he is all the same amount of dog. Like that is the same mentality there of just nonstop. I am going after you. I am going to make this fight. I'm going to break you one way or another.
Man, what a tough out, dude.
He was getting tagged, and even when he started marching Kopylov down in round 2, he was getting beat up in those exchanges too. Like he was walking through a bunch of fire, and he was just, you could see him smiling about all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very Billy Quarantillo like performance because you're watching him getting beat up, but he knows that Kopylov is running backwards all the time, and he can see in Kopilov's eyes how much Kopylov hates everything going on right now, and that's all that's important to him. Is just like, you hate this, I'm gonna do it harder, I'm gonna do more of it, and it paid off.
Yeah, Kopylov couldn't command the cage, couldn't keep the distance that he needed, which didn't give him the time he needed to set up his strikes. He was forced to make these quick decisions and just get in where he fit in, and that's exhausting, number one. And two, it's like only a matter of time before your feet get crossed up and you fall over, and next thing you know, you're stuck on the bottom and you got Fluffy on your back. And credit to him for fighting off that first rear naked choke, but that second one was fucking dead to rights. Yeah, Fluffy smiling at him, and awesome finish.
Really awesome. I don't know what's the obvious next fight. I guess Kaya Bahayo. No, you've got an obvious next fight.
Brendan Allen, come on.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Allen's also already booked to fight Marvin Vettori, and he's ranked
winner of that.
He's ranked 7th with, Kopylov barely like scraping the bottom of the rankings right now.
The winner or loser. Come on now, what's this streak?
We got to do the rematch, the LFA rematch between them.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 finishes in a row. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy if they can convince the winner of Vettori Allen to face Hernandez, who will probably be ranked 14th after this, 13th, then great. I'd love to see it. Otherwise, fights like Imavov or Hermanson are out there. Bahayo, Craig winner. I would actually love to see him fight Khamzat Chimaev, but Chimaev is not. I mean, Chimaev can only fight like twice a year when the UFC goes to the UAE. So Hernandez either lines up with one of those rare dates or that fight is not going to happen.
I think maybe you put him in there with like Robert Whitaker.
Damn.
Like if he's not going to fight Sean Strickland. But you got to think, like, Whitaker's fought everybody already.
It's true. It's true. I just don't think that the UFC... I mean, I would love it if the UFC really gets behind Hernandez after this, but I just think that everybody ranked in the top 10 is just going to look at him and say, nah.
I know. It's very little upside.
Yeah. No upside to fighting a dude like that right now. But I hope he gets a good fight after this. Whatever he's in, I'm just going to watch it because dude he fights like a madman.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to what got fight of the night. Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
And this was like Connor and I talked about this on the Vivi as the two true outcome featured prelim, where either Dern is getting knocked out or Lemos is getting submitted. And it was basically just 3 rounds of us seeing those two true outcomes where Dern was either getting absolutely teed off on standing or Lemos was getting absolutely out-grappled on the mat.
No, it's true. Aside from the 3rd round where Dern landed that overhand that knocked over Lemos. But if this were 5 rounds, Dern would have won.
Mm-hmm.
Dern wins this if it's a 5-rounder, which it probably should have been. In hindsight, I wouldn't going in. I'd be like, "Why the fuck we got this 5-round main event?" Or I would shit on it. But hindsight, this probably should have been 5 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm going to argue that anytime you have 2 top 5-ish fighters fighting one another, it should be a 5-round fight.
Or they should just run it by us.
Except for light heavyweight and middleweight. Yeah, just at least run it by us.
Run it by us.
Maybe not heavyweight, light heavyweight. Maybe a couple middleweight fights out there that I'd be like, nah, that can be 3.
Yeah.
But if it's
that's all.
If it's like a featherweight top 5 fight, I'm just gonna be, of course it's 5 rounds. I don't care. I don't care if it's your prelim opener. It's 5 rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably right. Dern was coming on. She is absolutely unflappable. And you gotta mention this. Somebody talking about his potential, like Anthony Hernandez, Bo Nickel.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta love it. It would be a good time.
Wow, that is the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm here for it. But Lemos, Dern, you've got to put her away. If you don't, she will just keep going after you forever.
I picked Dern here, and I picked Dern here not because she's the better fighter, but because she has the better fight IQ. Amanda Lemos got submitted standing up, and I couldn't pick someone who got submitted standing up against someone like Mackenzie Dern.
It's fair.
And I was like, man, I was afraid Dern was going to get pieced up, and she got pieced up. And there was a moment where it looked like she actually quit the fight.
Yeah, no, she went down holding her face, and it's like that is a TKO moment right there.
But Lemos, showing the low fight IQ, followed her to the ground.
Yeah.
Slept. Like, what are you doing? So that's the reason I picked Dern.
No, it makes sense. The wrestling and grappling is clearly baked into Lemos's game as a safety valve, which is really weird because she's not good at it. It's just like you need to your safety valve should be just stepping back and getting out of the way. You don't need to be diving in on anything. Just step back and hit somebody really hard.
Yeah.
That's the game.
She needs to watch some Chuck Liddell videos.
Yeah, get that other hand out there poking the eyes.
Right.
The Chuck Liddell
got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The ex-murderer. Shout out to him.
You know what? I know the UFC era of his career was not that special, and it was marked by some scandal.
Well, it was great for the wrong reasons.
It was a lot of the Chael Sonnen drama.
He was the butt of his UFC career.
Yeah.
He was the butt of the joke for his UFC run.
Yeah,
his run, legendary.
He was my first favorite fighter. Okay. I started watching this sport. He was the dude. But I was like,
oddly enough, he is the reason I am a MMA fan as well, but not because of him, because of his fight with Vitor, where Vitor stormed his castle.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this? And I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, for me, it was him versus Rampage, where he would just...
The first one?
Trying to think, which was the one where he left Rampage knocked out through the ropes?
Yeah.
Is that the first one or the second one?
I think that was the first one.
Yeah, it was just like, holy shit. That is so violent.
Dude, he fought Mark Hunt.
I know.
Dude, that was such a nuts fight. Mark Hunt did the
Yeah.
atomic butt drop on him. Dude, that was so wild.
The best of times. All right. Talk about this heavyweight bout. Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Junior Tafa. Big respect to Junior Tafa taking this fight on a day's notice for his brother after his brother got injured.
Did they do this before? But like
No.
in reverse order. They
No.
never done this before.
No. I will pick up what Ben Folks was saying over on Twitter though. If you're Junior Tafa for like the next month, anytime you need a beer, anytime you got to get something at the grocery store, anytime you got an errand to
You
run,
need a blunt rolled.
you're calling your brother and you're being like, yo, bro, can you do this for me? I'd take care of it, but man, my leg is hurting so much for those kicks I took for you.
Man, those are bad.
Yeah. Lima, I mean,
it's bad when you got a heavyweight TKO from leg kicks. Fuck. That's serious. You're talking like ligament damage.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wonders is like, would a fight camp have helped temper him to prepare him for this?
His timing might have been sharper. He might have attempted to check kicks or been aware to prepare for them. I mean, sure.
Because that really, in some ways, to me, like he ate one, and it was just like, oh, you can barely stand now, you know.
Which is the name of the game.
It is
these heavier weight classes, light heavyweight, heavyweight. It doesn't take much.
I mean, Marcos Rogerio de Lima is a damned golem out there. The dude is just
he's built like the Thing.
Yes. So, yeah. Good win for him. Rough outing for Tafa. But, hey, he stepped in. He kept the fight alive. It was messy, but it was fun. Whatever. You know? Yeah. Far from the worst fight on this card.
And he bounced back from that Derek Lewis flying knee.
Yep. That does bring us to the worst fight on this card, however. Rinya Nakamura, Carlos Vera, and just a terrible booking.
I didn't think this was that bad of a fight.
No? I thought this was terrible. Like, I get that Highstand dropped out, so you got to find a replacement. But you've got a wrestler who's too inexperienced to really know how to do anything other than top control against a pushover guard grappler who's not a good enough guard grappler to actually make anything happen from guard.
No, you're right. It was boring, but there were some cool leg entanglements.
There were some cool entanglements, but it was a absolutely booked for deadlock. You know,
true. Yeah. But I will say, how about the self-defense on display though?
Sure. Yeah.
Very self-defense, you know.
Somewhere, some guy in, some 280-pound guy with a black belt with 15 strikes on it is looking at Carlos Vera and is being like, that's my boy. Got that street self-defense. Taught him that.
Hey, at least he attacked some cool shit, right?
Yeah. No, it was
like calf slicers.
He was trying some very fun outside the meta stuff. And there's a reason that it's not the meta right now. And that showed up pretty clear, which is just that even a pretty raw fighter in Nakamura could just be the better athlete and shut it down.
Yeah. And a smart grappler.
Yeah.
Very wise. The way, because his just his acknowledgement of his knee in the center line and those leg entanglements, I think he did a fantastic job of navigating that. Not an easy thing to do.
All right, that brings us to a light heavyweight bout. Zhang Mingyang, Brenson Ribeiro. And Ribeiro looked good for like a minute. And then Zhang realized that he should probably not be moving backwards, and then the fight ended.
Well, wasn't it? He got like poked in the eye, and the ref wouldn't do anything about it. So he's like, "Fuck it, I'll just end it myself," and went and just knocked him out.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you're not going to give me my time for my eye poke? Okay, fight over."
Yeah, fair enough. Either way, I'm stupid jokes aside here. But yeah, I mean, Zhang.
This card had Zuck.
Yeah, that's right.
The cuck. Here we go.
Oh.
I didn't say who.
Okay. Fine. Zhang Mingyang. It was fun. It was a fun.
Awesome.
It was two glass cannons in there together, and the one that throws straighter punches won the fight at the end of the night.
Yeah, fair. And he called in his debut win.
Yeah,
Pereira right for the champion.
I love that. Honestly, like, it's your UFC debut. Nobody gives a. We always say, like, oh, have a name, make a call out, yada yada yada. But it's your UFC debut. Nobody cares. You're not gonna. Your next fight is just gonna be against anyone in the division. You're not gonna get any kind of. You beat another guy making his debut that nobody cares about. It's not gonna be anything meaningful at all. Might as well do something people remember. You know.
Yeah, call the champ. Especially if he keeps doing it. Like if he keeps winning, keeps knocking people out, and keeps calling out the champ.
Sure.
Pretty soon, the champ's going to have to address it.
I mean, that was the Dricus Duplessis thing, right? He's, he's looking wild and sloppy, but he's under Adesanya's skin all day, every day of the week. And eventually, he was supposed to get that fight. He couldn't take it because he got hurt, but he got the title shot against Strickland right after anyway. All right. That brings us to a welterweight bout. Danny Barlow, Josh Quinlan. And
it was hard to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I feel for Quinlan. I like his style, but he's got real short arms and he's got this inside boxing style. And last dude he fought was 6'5" with a 77-inch reach. And then this dude is 6'2" with an 80-inch reach. John Jones is 6'3" with an 84-inch reach. Your heavyweight champion is 1 inch taller and has 4 inches of reach on this welterweight dude.
Yeah.
Barlow is huge. And Quinlan, he had so much trouble getting inside. And every time he was eating huge shots. And it just ended up not paying off for him. So
those flying knees were nasty.
Yeah.
Those flying knees. The way he was timing them was fantastic.
If Barlow can, clean up his tactical adjustments and his technique just a little, he can be a huge problem in this division.
He broke his arm out there, didn't he?
Yeah. He said he broke his arm and his hand. He talks like Boomhauer though, so it was really hard to track exactly what he was saying.
I did like how Quinlan went out on a shield. Like he just recognized, like, you know what?
I'm losing.
I'm doing isn't working.
Yeah.
I'm getting stuck out at range against someone who's picking me apart, who's a better athlete. And he just went for broke and overextended and took a chance and paid a price for it. But I respect it, honestly.
AJ Fletcher has been cut from the UFC. I am afraid to say. Sorry. Fletcher is the true T-Rex UFC fighter carrying on the Sean Shirk legacy, but he is no longer in the UFC. All right. That brings us to a welterweight bout. Oban Elliott, Val Woodburn, and this was these guys really shouldn't be in the UFC event of the fight of the night. Like, just a completely sloppy, weird-ass fight. Oban Elliott was clearly better and still barely clinging to the win by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
just an absolute mess.
It was way closer than it probably should have been.
Exactly. Like, Elliott could take Woodburn down anytime he wanted and easily outgrapple him, and then every time Woodburn got up, he would wing like one wild overhand, and Elliott would stumble around, and then you'd be like, "Oh my, what is this?"
I feel like part of that was Elliott's corner. I feel like they gave him some shoddy advice there, at least in the third round.
Yeah.
When Elliott had the full mount, the mounted triangle was right there, and his corner specifically told him not to go for it and bail on it, and so he didn't go for it, and Woodburn got up.
Woodburn has no neck. There is that problem.
You put him in a triangle.
Yeah, the triangle.
Yeah,
the triangle is a submission that works even on the necklace.
It is the giant slayer.
Yeah, but I do remember that escape you're talking about too, and that was one of the most ridiculous. Like, you literally just let this dude slide out from under you for nothing.
Right. Yeah, it's but yeah, not a great fight at all.
No, terrible fight. All right, and that brings us to a women's flyweight bout: Miranda Maverick, Andrea Lee, and Maverick finally kind of starting to put it together.
She's been with Elliot Marshall for some time now, and seems to be settling in. And she isn't in school.
Yeah. Oh, we lost you for a second here.
Oh wait, I froze. There we go.
You did.
Yeah, no. So Miranda, she's not in school anymore. She's got a lot more time to focus on fighting and, settling in where she's at. And aside from that suplex, she looked pretty damn good out there.
Yeah, she looked solid. She kept her strategy. She just stayed faster than Lee, which is the big thing for anybody fighting Lee, is that she's really foot slow. So just don't stand in front of her. And Maverick did.
That wasn't the best look at the
end.
Also,
there's still points where Maverick is still like, you are a way better athlete than this person. Why are you getting away from the things that are working into situations where you just don't need to be?
Yeah.
No,
cool fight though. Cool enough. Yeah. Not a great fight, but
a solid win.
And here's the thing: I feel like the most fun parts came from Lee.
Yeah.
The round-winning material was all Miranda.
Anyway, that wraps up the card. We've got a new featherweight champ. That's the big news here. The Volk era is at an end. Maybe he gets an instant rematch. I would rather that Topuria gets another fight or two in between, and Volk maybe takes some time off or whatever. I know he's earned the right, but,
You're fearing for his safety, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
A year ago, you would have never said that. Seeing him get knocked out twice in a row, losing 3 of his last 4.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a hard truth.
It is. It's a hard spot. It does feel wrong. I don't think Volk's about to retire at all. I think he's going to be riding this train for a few more years. But
you know who didn't retire? Henry Cejudo.
He didn't get a chance, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet about that just a minute ago, that Dana White was talking about how they messed up by not giving Cejudo a chance to retire in the cage.
Oof.
So, yeah.
Or maybe he's done it so many fucking times. They were like,
yeah, there's that too. I mean, I think Cejudo will retire. I think he's been pretty clear about exactly where he stands, and he's been this kind of guy for a while. Like, he retired with the belts. He is a fighter that very clearly wants to be chasing bigger prizes all the time, constantly fighting upward, or he's not interested.
Like when DC retired.
Exactly.
Right? He lost to Stipe. He's like, you know what? This is it. I'm not fighting for the belt. I'm not fighting for titles. I'm not doing this.
And Cejudo's always been a dude that just seems like he doesn't want to be the king of the mountain fighting off challengers. He wants to be the guy that is always fighting up to the next challenge and facing the next big, difficult test. And you can't do that if now you've lost a couple fights in a row and you're just going to be in that contender mix at 37, 38, facing whoever the next hungry challenger is. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
It'd have to be like saving a show or something.
Yeah, he wanted to win this fight for the belt, fight O'Malley, and then fight Alexander Volkanovski. That was his dream goal. No title defenses in there. No, staying
Maybe
around.
that's the move.
Not for a long time.
Cejudo.
Yeah, but
book it.
It's just,
book it.
all right.
Book it.
On that note, we're gonna get out of here. We'll be recording a little bit of bonus content over on our Substack, so check that out later if you're a subscriber. And if you're not, please subscribe, help us out over on the Bloody Elbow Podcast Substack. In the meantime, you can find me on Twitter at the Zane Simon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at the Eddie Mercado. You can find both of us over at bloodyelbow.com. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.